1 minute ago, Britain just witnessed history explode in real time. King Charles has done the unthinkable. He's destroyed Prime Minister Keir Starmer's reform bill with one stroke of royal authority. Parliament has erupted, the government is spiralling, and insiders are whispering that this could be the beginning of Britain's total political collapse. This isn't speculation, it's chaos unfolding live before the world's eyes. According to senior aides, Starmer was blindsided. The Prime Minister believed the King would never dare to intervene. But at precisely 3:47 p.m, King Charles refused to grant royal assent to Starmer's voting and representation bill, a law critics say would have quietly rewritten the balance of power between the people and the palace. In one royal move, Charles didn't just reject it, he annihilated it. The ink wasn't even dry before number 10 went into full meltdown. Sources claim Starmer's reaction was volcanic. He allegedly stormed out of a cabinet briefing shouting, "That man just buried my government." A senior Labour MP told reporters that papers were flying, phones were slammed, and advisers were screaming over each other. Insiders say that within 10 minutes, 3 ministers were already drafting resignation letters, desperate to escape what one aide described as a sinking ship in royal waters. Inside Parliament, pandemonium, MPs shouting across the chamber, the Speaker pounding the gavel, security staff on edge. Jacob Rees-Mogg reportedly stood up, pointing directly across the aisle, declaring, "The King has reminded you who guards the Constitution, not your party, not your ego." The Tory benches roared. Labour MPs sat pale, stunned, unable to process what just happened. And then came the leaks. Screenshots began circulating online, supposedly showing frantic WhatsApp messages between Starmer's closest advisers. One reads, "He's lost it. If Charles goes public, we're finished." Another, "This was our reform bill, not his. Why did he even read it? Could this get any worse for Starmer?" Oh, it's only beginning. At Buckingham Palace, sources describe the mood as icy but resolved. The King reportedly spent days consulting constitutional scholars, retired judges, and even senior military officials before acting. According to palace insiders, Charles told one confidant, "I have no choice. When government forgets its duty to the people, the Crown must remember it." Those words are now being replayed across every major news outlet in the world. Meanwhile, Downing Street has gone into lockdown mode. Ministers are being instructed not to speak to the press. Civil servants are whispering about a 24-hour coup. One insider told Sky anonymously, "The Prime Minister looks haunted. He keeps pacing and muttering, 'He can't do this, he can't do this.'" But the fact is, the King already did. By early evening, the markets were in free fall. The pound tumbled 2.8% against the dollar. Investors fled. Headlines screamed, "Britain in constitutional crisis." In just 6 hours, Starmer's approval ratings dropped 10 points. Protesters began gathering outside Parliament, waving Union Jacks and chanting, "God save the King." The irony, many of them were lifelong Labour voters. Across the Atlantic, American networks are calling it the most dramatic royal intervention since the 1930s. CNN analysts openly wondered if this could trigger the fall of the Labour government entirely. Insiders at the palace say the King is calm but unyielding. He believes Starmer's bill was a direct attack on centuries of constitutional order, and he will not back down. But the question echoing through Westminster tonight is chilling. Did Charles just save British democracy or set fire to it? Because behind the cameras, something darker is brewing. Multiple leaks hint that Starmer's own inner circle knew this confrontation was coming and may have planned to use it to strip the monarchy of its remaining powers. And if that's true, then this isn't just a political crisis, it's a battle for the soul of Britain itself. By dawn, Britain was unrecognisable. The government's press office had gone dark. Ministers were refusing interviews and news anchors spoke in hushed, disbelieving tones. Then, just after 8 a.m, King Charles appeared live on every major network. Calm, composed, and standing beneath the gilded crest of St. James's Palace. The nation froze. What he said next sent shockwaves through every corridor of power. "I have acted," he began, "to preserve the integrity of the United Kingdom's constitutional order. When leadership forgets its boundaries, the Crown must remember its oath." His voice was steady, deliberate, almost surgical. but the message was unmistakable. The king had drawn a line in stone, and Starmer had crossed it. Within minutes, social media detonated. Hashtags like hashtag stand with the king and hashtag Starmer must go dominated the trends, racking up millions of posts in hours. Insiders say that as the king spoke, chaos consumed Downing Street. Starmer reportedly sat motionless, watching the broadcast in silence, then turned to his aides and said only, "Well, so this is how it ends." According to sources, several senior Labour MPs began drafting letters of no confidence even before the broadcast ended. One aide described the scene as utter despair, people crying, phones ringing non-stop, and nobody knowing who to trust anymore. Behind the scenes, panic turned to blame. Chancellor Rachel Reeves allegedly confronted Starmer directly, shouting that he'd dragged the party into constitutional suicide. Foreign Secretary David Lammy reportedly slammed a folder on the table and said, "You've declared war on the monarchy and lost." By midday, 3 resignations hit the wires. Transport Secretary Louise Hay, Home Office Minister Sarah Dines, and Chief Whip Alan Campbell. Each letter echoed the same theme: respect for the Crown and a demand for Starmer to step down. Outside Parliament, the crowds grew. Thousands gathered in Westminster Square, waving flags and holding banners reading, "Defend the Crown, save the nation." Some even chanted, "Charles for the people." Who could have imagined such a reversal? Just months ago, the monarchy was accused of being irrelevant. And now the king had become the symbol of national defiance. But inside Number 10, the paranoia deepened. Leaked documents obtained by journalists appear to show Starmer's inner circle discussing contingency actions in case the king refused royal assent. One memo reads, "Should the Crown intervene, we move immediately to push constitutional reform through emergency channels." Another, marked eyes only, warns that a public clash could serve as justification for long-term separation of Crown influence. If these documents are authentic, it means the government wasn't caught off guard. It was setting the stage for a confrontation. Could this have been Starmer's plan all along? To provoke a constitutional crisis so severe that the monarchy itself would be forced into retreat? Meanwhile, the ripple effect hit global politics. Canada's Prime Minister issued a cautious statement supporting Britain's democratic resilience, a subtle nod to the King. Australia's opposition leader outright praised Charles for defending constitutional decency. Even Washington couldn't stay neutral. The White House spokesperson called it a historic and delicate moment for one of America's oldest allies. Behind closed doors, EU diplomats were reportedly calling it the British implosion. And yet, amidst the chaos, a new political storm was rising. Nigel Farage seized the moment, appearing live on GB News with a grin that said it all. "King Charles stood up for Britain," he declared, and it's time someone in politics did the same. Within hours, Reform UK's website crashed under a flood of new members. Donations skyrocketed. A Snap poll showed Reform surging past Labour for the first time in history. The message was loud and brutal. The public had turned. By late afternoon, Westminster was in free fall. Anonymous MPs whispered of backroom plots to oust Starmer before Monday. Lawyers began drafting emergency petitions to the Supreme Court, arguing that the Prime Minister had violated his oath by undermining the monarchy. One senior advisor reportedly told ITV, if he doesn't resign tonight, the King might have to dissolve Parliament himself. And while that sounds unthinkable, so did everything else that has happened in the last 24 hours. Now the entire country holds its breath. Will King Charles go further and remove his Prime Minister through royal prerogative? A move unseen for over a century. Will Labour tear itself apart trying to survive? Or will this moment reshape Britain forever, restoring royal authority in a nation that forgot what it meant to have one? Sources close to the palace insist this is not about ego, but duty. He didn't want this fight, one insider said, but when the Constitution is in danger, the Crown must act. As night falls over London, one truth has become impossible to ignore. This is no longer just a political crisis. It's a reckoning, a battle between power and principle, ambition and ancestry, ego and empire. Britain stands on the edge of history, staring into the abyss of its own making. And the question haunting every corridor, every newsroom, every living room tonight is chillingly simple. Did King Charles just save Britain from collapse or ignite the final spark that brings it down?